Hello. I wanted to talk about what happens if you find out that you're working with somebody with a personality disorder. And full disclosure, it's summertime and lots of new graduates and lots of young people with different kind of backgrounds come streaming into my job, and the newest round are quite vocal and proud of having a personality disorder. Guess which one? And they also use that to their advantage because it means that to them, normal protocol does not apply. And you can't criticize or correct or train them to do anything different because, that's discrimination. Every kind of discrimination, it's a disaster. Yeah. But I guess I'm like one of those old fuddy-duddies who complains about working with the young people now, huh? I also was told by somebody, they're like, I'm really glad you're making these videos so you can vent. Yeah, it's like, I can't believe it's only been a week since the last video I made. I actually checked to see if I skipped a week because it's that draining. But again, I mean, that's, when you have a avoidant personality disorder and have to deal with new people anyway, especially new people that are going to be, I don't know, like in your life, but especially if you've got somebody who has very poor boundaries and is oversharing everything in their life, it's very hard to deal with as a person with avoidant personality disorder. So that's where I'm coming from. Like I said, I'm usually making these videos talking about something that's actually going on. I mean, what it has been is, I just keep seeing a certain word over and over again. I'm like, this is like real life. This is real life. Anyway, so what do you do if you find you're working with somebody with a personality disorder? I bet the first bit of advice I have for you was the first thing that popped into your head, which is don't self-disclose and dob yourself in. I mean, it will be right there on the tip of your tongue. Say, oh yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, it's somebody that can relate, can understand. Probably not. If you've got somebody who is proclaiming to the world that they have a personality disorder of any sort, I mean, nobody does that. Okay, and I'm saying this, and there's probably somebody who's read this. You can still see where my background is. Anyway, somebody who's seeing this and who is like, of course I told everybody. It's really common when you first get a diagnosis that you do tell everybody. I strongly recommend not disclosing at work for any reason whatsoever. I mean, unless you absolutely have to, like you're going into the hospital and they need to have an explanation for why you're not going to be at work. If it's anything else, really, I mean, it's especially for avoidant personality disorder, nobody knows what it is. And they are going to immediately make assumptions based on the name. They're probably going to look it up and be like, oh my God, you're such a freak. Okay, well, maybe that's not the term that they would use, but I mean, people who are out of, existence with a personality disorder, who read the description, think they know what it is, and they don't. And I mean, even a lot of um, therapists and psychiatrists who do diagnosing do not actually understand in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I'm sure that you've looked up stuff online and seen actual doctors describe it. I mean, any um, therapist or doctor who's like, yeah, we're going to do CBT for avoidant personality disorder, does not understand the personality disorder. The best bet is chemotherapy, from what I've seen. Anyway, so nobody's going to understand, but they are going to judge, which, as you know, being judged and have people assume things about you and think about you and just be like, ooh, you're marked. There's something about you that is special that somebody's going to actually go look up and research, or they're going to make assumptions about what that means. I mean, come on. And these are people you work with. So you can't just suddenly go, oh, I don't think I want to interact with you anymore. Because you work with them. You're going to have to see them, or at least see their name. Oh my goodness. No. That's number one, is bite down on that impulse to self-disclose and say, oh, I might have somebody that I can relate to. Not at work. Not at work. Number two is, don't be like everybody else and make immediate judgments about what it means that your new coworker or a coworker that you work with has a personality disorder. Because no matter how many people that you've run across who have a personality disorder of a certain kind, they all act differently. You can never tell. And every personality disorder, it's a sort of a mix of the criteria, and some things, it's also on a spectrum. So you don't know. You don't know what you're dealing with. I mean, basically, the only thing that you could do is, sort of expect that you're going to have to keep an eye on that person. So that's the second thing. One, don't self-disclose. Two, don't assume you know anything about that person at all. Three, try to be self-protective in any way that you can. I mean, not every way, obviously. I mean, the obvious thing, and it might be that you can't work with a person based on what their behavior is. I'm wondering if I'm at that point. It's a thing. Like I said, I can't believe it's only been a week. And even better, this person, of course, people do these things where they fudge their resumes. In my case, she is in a supervisory position that she has no background to be in that position, and is learning on the fly and won't take direction from anybody. It's great. I mean, it's like a coworker from hell, basically. Not everybody with a personality disorder has, I'm sure that you work with people already who are not self-disclosing. Fact. It might be a situation where because it could be that it's a type of person that you just can't have in your life at all. And so it might be a situation where you should find another job. Do I say that should be like one of the first things you should do? No, definitely not. Because it's very difficult to go through the process. I'm sure you've seen other videos where I've described it. I'm sure you've lived it. It's very hard to find another job and to find something that suits you. And the thing is, and this is based on lots and lots of experience, um, people who are outrageous and do not match the um, sort of corporate demeanor don't stay around. They either do something to get themselves fired, or they are the type of person who is experience seeking and they move along. So, um, it's probably not going to be all that. I mean, it's going to feel it. Like I said, this last week, I can't believe how long it's felt. It's going to feel like they're there forever, but they're probably not really going to be there forever. So, if you can wait it out, if you can basically, this is terrible to say, if you can like fade into the background so that they don't want to interact with you for a little while, if that's possible, if that's not going to destroy your sort of credibility at your place of employment, that's the time to do it. Plan vacations, that sort of thing, so that you don't interact with them. Um, do what you can to make yourself safe. And if that includes changing, like, as even like a sort of a location situation, if there are still places where you can work from home. That's probably not a possibility. You would have been doing it already if that was a possibility, but it might be that you could um, find a way to work so that you're not interacting with that person directly as much as possible. Highly recommend that you take care of yourself, and do it sideways. Don't come in and say, I can't work with this person, even if you can't work with that person. Say, um, I'm having an ergonomic problem. I'd like to have my location looked into, something like that. Oh, I'm really interested in this part of the job. Could maybe I do these projects? I know it's like, what? Say this to your boss, but seriously, you might come out on top, because it might be that they're thinking that you have some sort of, you know, renewed interest in your job, maybe. I don't know. But I would keep that in mind, that most likely you can outlast the person. I mean, unless your company got bought by some psycho or something like that. Also could happen. Then that you can outlast them, and keep in mind, don't like do something drastic, because it is difficult looking for a job when you have avoidant personality disorder. Um, so if there is some sort of massive clash, trying to separate yourself from the um, employee is, while still retaining your job and working for the company, might be for the best. And also because you will have already had like this massive shock to your life dealing with this person, and then also have a new job. I mean, I don't know about your bandwidth, but I would need to take a good long, like months long break, um, to cope with the changes after being blasted by somebody. Um, so, and also that's a good sort of distraction if you're trying to sort of rearrange your job, um, to avoid a certain person. Um, and then in the meantime, time might have passed. you might see, is this improving or not? And if it's not, then at that point, look into leaving. But yeah, I mean, it's weird. Where my advice would be more avoidant if you're interacting with somebody who has a personality disorder. But that's sort of definitely it. And the last bit of advice, what I would hope that you think about is, I've been really vocal on this channel about untreated borderlines, and how straight up dangerous they can be to somebody with avoidant personality disorder. Um, and if that's what you're dealing with, and I would assume it's an untreated borderline, because they wouldn't make themselves, so much the center of attention by labeling themselves. I mean, it's possible that you're working with somebody right now who has been treated, and you would never be able to tell, because guess what? When they can cope with it, and be responsible for themselves, then they don't have the outrageous symptoms. And if they are labeling themselves that publicly, it's usually because they really like behaving in an outrageous manner, and they have not tried to seek therapy, or they started therapy and decided, I like the behavior better. I mean, I know that sounds crazy and harsh, but seriously, a lot of people make the choice that they like the chaos. It's what they're used to. It makes them comfortable, and they don't care that it makes everybody else uncomfortable. So if they're saying, hey, I have this, and this is how I'm going to be, and I'm not going to change, untreated. And for some reason, untreated borderline um, personality people, it's like they have magnets to people with avoidant personality disorder, and it might be great for them. It seems pretty good for them, because they do not tolerate anything that's not making their life happy and great. They blow it up if they don't like it. So they seem to like hooking up in some way with somebody with avoidant personality disorder. And it's really, really bad for the person with avoidant personality disorder. So if you can cloak your avoidant tendencies, mostly by avoiding them. I mean, that sounds completely like a lunatic, but if you think about it, I hope that it makes sense. If you're not around somebody, they're not going to be able to pick up on how mistrustful you are and how little you want to have relationships with people. Um, you're not going to stand out like, the one that they want to be around. They either want to be your best buddy, or they want to target you as an enemy. One or the other. But it seems like, like a moth to a light. They just will want to be around you, and it will probably not be cool. It will, because I mean, unfortunately, it's not like, okay, I'm having a sucky work experience and then I can go home and forget about it. It will torture you, and guess what? The person with borderline personality is going to be going, yahoo! Somebody's thinking of me, yay! It's going to make them very happy that somebody's thinking of them. So if you become their target, you're going to be screwed, in a nutshell. So I suggest trying to not allow yourself to become the target of somebody with borderline personality disorder, if you can. And good luck. I don't know if that answers anything about this topic. It might be a little too close to me to be able to come up with something more general at the moment. But if there's any other scenario concerning work and somebody with a declared personality disorder and how to deal with them, let me know. I'll see if I can answer whatever further questions you have about it, and I'll see you next week.